from undergraduate leadership education through advanced quasi-experimental statistics with doc students. And as I've put more and more of my effort into independent work with iOS and Swift development, I reached out to Lambda School as an opportunity to use some of my teaching skills while also using some of my Swift skills. And so when they asked me to present today, I immediately thought about PDFKit as a really great resource to share with students. Everyone's familiar with PDFs, and I think there's some advantages of knowing that framework as a part of your repertoire as you go out into the world. PDFKit was released by Apple at WWDC in 2017 and has had a modest adoption. I haven't seen it out there with as many apps as I anticipated to, which I think shows that there's a opportunity in the market. The value of being able to pull PDFs into your application easily includes being able to build high-functioning apps that are built around PDFs, that you don't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting to understand the PDF underlying data structure, that you can operate on a more higher level framework that the PDFKit provides. Alternatively, for apps that are focused on doing other functions, being able to add a PDF view to your app to be able to show either some of your marketing materials, or to show to embed just one PDF for your whole app, or two or three, is a real asset to be able to not have to work and understand the underlying framework before being able to pull that into your app easily. And using PDFKit will allow you to do that. And that's the example we're going to use today for this walkthrough, is the idea that we're building an app for another purpose, and as a part of our About page, we might want to show a PDF from Apple about their privacy policy. And so I'm going to walk you through how to pull in a PDF and show that in an app, and then be able to interact with that PDF by tapping through it and swiping through pages, as well as being able to add annotations. If you wanted to highlight, hey, here's a section that's really relevant to my app. And then if we have time for it, getting to a basic search feature of how you can implement that. And I think that'll get you set up to where, if you're interested in working more with PDFs, that you'll understand enough of this framework to really get off and running on your own. The GitHub link that Ben has sent to you all has a starter package for us to begin with, an Xcode project, where I've went ahead and wired up the storyboards in Interface Builder, and we're going to focus only on the coding of the app behind the scenes. I want to do a little bit of screen sharing here so you can see what I'm doing. Right one. Yeah. Okay. So while you're downloading that kit from the project from GitHub, I want to talk with you a little bit about the actual structure of PDFKit, and it's pretty evident in the way we all think about PDFs. That is followed through in the PDFKit structure. PDFKit operates at a high level with a PDF document, which we'll in a moment practice importing and being able to work with that document level object. And then just like we would expect within every document, we can extract individual pages to work with, either as an array of all the pages, or a subset range within the document, or extract just one PDF page at a time. And then on that PDF page, within that PDF page object, is then how we interact with things that are on a page, like annotations or selections. And so today we're going to practice how do we make a selection on a page, which is a PDF selection itself is an object, and create an annotation object that then we apply to a page. And that hierarchy that we would think it through is readily apparent in the PDFKit. You'll see as we walk through that. So I've talked you through what we're going to do today and a background on the PDFs. I want to get started now with taking the GitHub document that you may have downloaded, or if you simply want to watch me walk through this, with starting off with that document. If you jump over to the view controller, I've already wired up over on the main storyboard the views that we'll need. And on the view controller, those are here on these lines. But we have an error because we don't yet have the PDFKit imported. Just like we do with other frameworks, we're going to need to import the PDFKit. Once we've imported that, then the Xcode clears those errors where we have two connections out to the interface builder. The first one is a PDF view where we'd actually be able to see the document. And then you're familiar with anytime you've interacted with PDFs on your phone or on your iPad or on a computer, there's often a thumbnail view. So you can see all the pages in a small version of them quickly. And that's what that PDF thumbnail view is there wired in. And then there's two other pieces within this view controller. We're going to work with a very simple view controller today. One is the view did load. You're familiar with that is executed once when the view is first brought into the app. And then the second one we're going to use today is view did appear. View did appear isn't by default included in when a UI view controller is created, but we're going to override that and use that it's a bit of a shortcut to instead of building some interface components of how we could have buttons to tap and interact with the PDF. We're just going to simply use view did appear, and so when that PDF shows up, then have it execute a few of the commands that we want to practice today. So we've got step one done, where we've imported the PDFKit and come down here to setting the path from which to load a PDF. The PDFKit works really well with pulling documents out of the app asset bundle, if we want to do it that way. Or I want to encourage all of you to be pulling in your own PDFs that are of interest to you today. And so I'm going to do this with pulling in a URL off of the internet. Where we're working with here, this is the one line that would change whether we'd pull it out of a app bundle or whether we would pull it off of the internet. I'm going to show you a line that pulls it off the internet, and then if you want, you're welcome to use this, or if you have your own you want to practice with, I would encourage you to simply go out in a web browser, find a PDF that you want to use, and then pull that URL down and paste it in here. I'll write out this statement and then
Clinton,
walk you through.
Can you make the font size a little bigger?
Certainly. Thanks for saying something.
Thank you. Just Command plus might do it if it likes you.
Is that
Awesome.
big enough? Or need to go a little smaller, a little bigger?
That's good.
Thanks again for saying something.
Thank you.
So we got the guard. I'll walk through the whole statement once I've typed it out for you to see. We have the, we're going to identify what path URL to pull that from. Okay, so here we're pulling in from a URL, a PDF, and putting it in the object path URL. And we're going to use a guard statement just in case that would fail, but we wouldn't want to continue on and have the app crash on users, just have it fail in a way that we can control. And to do that, I'm going to add a simple statement we would use for debugging internally of being able to print out that we failed to get the path URL and then return from the view did load function. Great. Now that we have the path URL coming in, we're going to move on to our next step. We could run and test this, and you're welcome to do that on your device now. And if we don't see that failed to get URL in the log, then we know we've got a path URL that's functioning correctly. Now that we have the URL, we want to load that from into the PDF viewer. I'm going to create because we're going to across several of the functions be referring to a PDF document. I'm going to come up here and create a variable for the PDF document to reside in. And because we don't have that PDF document when this view controller first launches, then we're going to I'm going to use that as an optional and set that down here in the view did load. So what we've done there is we have our object that was in the class, the view controller class now that'll hold on to our PDF, and we're assigning the PDF we got off of the URL to that object as a PDF document. Here we're getting our first part of the PDFKit's framework with the PDF document, and it has this object will initiate with either a URL string like we're doing here, or we could pass it data, that if we've pulled in data off of a file, or if we've stored something off in a core data database, we can use that data here and pass that over to a PDF document object. And then once we have our PDF document object in this line, we're assigning it to the PDF view. That PDF view here is that same one up above, where we have that linking out to our storyboard. And then that has a document that's up till now been nil, and we're assigning it the PDF document that we want it to display to the users. We don't have to do anything more with the PDF view. The PDF document and the PDF viewer automatically know once that property has been assigned to go ahead and display that. Even if we were doing this once the view was on screen, the PDF view would push that up. So if we run that app, then we're going to see that that worked for us to have a PDF visible.
Your simulator isn't visible, or were you not showing that?
You're right, the simulator is not visible. Thank you for saying something there. The simulator's over here on another screen, and rather than mess with the screen sharing, I'm going to let you just run that on your own, and it'll pop up. And I'll keep walking through the code there. Going with the
so I got a nil here. Is something not configured properly? Or
where are you getting URL the PDF view? Which line are you getting?
It's telling me the PDF view. I think you're getting it in your output as well. I'm not certain.
I saw it from a
line
moment.
40. Your line numbers are not on right now, but I think it's.
Yeah.
I'm getting the same issue when I try to load the white paper as well. The first URL at the top.
Is this outlet not connected right now?
Well, this is the joys of coding live, is something may not be hooked up. I ran this last night and early this morning, and then right before we got online, and it worked. I had that error once, but solved it. Let's see if we can solve it quickly while we're all online here.
I verified the first URL is still live.
Thanks for checking.
Okay, so it works when I connect it.
Just needs reconnected?
Yeah, so if you just open up the storyboard by itself, or you can open both up, but you can drag from the little view controller, or you can do it that way. And then you just have to connect it, connect it to the PDF view. So you can't drag it to the far left. For whatever reason, the selection only works when you go over the PDF view, PDF exclamation point. But I think you now have it connected.
Yeah. Sorry about that all. That's in an error in the GitHub repository. Just like they were describing there, if you want to create a new outlet, control and drag it from this view here over to create a new one here. I'm going to cancel that and do simply drag it from this link here, drag it to the large view in the storyboard. And then you'll also want to connect for, while we're doing this, we want to come down here and connect to the thumbnail. And so that view will show down there.
Oh,
Thanks all for the help in solving that as we were in midst of live coding. Will that run for those that had that were encountering the error now?
It did work for me.
Good.
Yep, it works.
Great. Great. So you've seen the PDF there, but it's hard to navigate around in the PDF when we don't know how large it is and to be able to move around. A lot of PDF viewers have the thumbnail visible. And so we're going to wire up the thumbnail view as well. I'm going to pull in the thumbnail view there, and we simply tell it what the PDF view that it's going to mirror off of. And so that's referring to our main PDF view. That's referring to our small thumbnail view, and within it telling it, hey, watch this main PDF view, and when you get tapped, tell it to move to those pages. Or if the main PDF view is moving around, it'll tell the thumbnail to move around. Now the thumbnail view defaults to being vertical, and so for the example project I put in here, we'll want to come in here and tell it to be a horizontal layout. And then finally, for the thumbnail view, if you run it as is, that'll work, but the thumbnail size is really small. And so I'm going to come in here and adjust those thumbnail sizes so that their widths are half the size of the PDF thumbnail view. You can adjust it as you want, or not not do this line at all, and they'll just appear a little bit smaller in the project when you run it. Great. Bound. We should now have the PDF up top and be able to click through to multiple pages in the thumbnail view down below it. With that done, we're in good shape of being able to display a PDF. But if I was building this for my app, I might want to highlight, hey, here's a spot in the PDF that shows where it has a privacy policy or makes a statement on security that's relevant. And so in this example, we're going to conduct a search for that phrase. And once we've found that phrase, yeah.
Do you want both the width and the height to be both height? You have bounds height twice there. Do you want?
Good catch. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I used the height being because in the thumbnail view, it's really wide there, and being able to set those as just half the height, then it gives it a square bounds in which it will draw those thumbnails. If we do it as the bounds to the height and the width, then it'll give it a really wide box. That's really not what we're going for there. But yeah, that does stand out there as, wait a minute, why are we doing width equal to another object's height, and then the height's equal to that same object's height? if I was going to code this up on a standalone project that was an example, I'd probably build those out as a separate variable so it was clear in code review of why we were doing it that way, and demonstrate that we just simply want a small bound box. Other comments or thoughts or questions before we start searching for a phrase? Great. So to search for a phrase, we're going to use the PDF document that we have loaded the PDF into, and find a string. And I'm going to show my users a place where security is mentioned. And then I'm going to throw in here an option to be case insensitive, so it finds all the occurrences of the word security. And that will return a array of items found. And so I'm going to put those in a variable with that name. And for my own testing purposes, I'm going to print out what items it found so that I can see in the log that it's working, or if something's wrong and it's not finding them. Then once we have that, we're going to go tell the PDF view itself to go to that first item. But we have a problem here because the go to statement is expecting an unwrapped optional, and the found items, it's possible that we could search for something, not find anything, and so it's 0, and then we don't have anything for the PDF view object to go searching for. And so we're going to unwrap that optional up here with the guard statement. And just like we did before, I'm going to put a debugging statement in here so I can follow along if while I'm testing my code if it's not working. And then return out of the view did appear if that fails. So if our assumption that there is an item found, then we're going to want to come down here, and instead of getting that from the found items, we're going to just get it straight from that new variable object we created, first item. And once we have that, we've gone to that spot, we can set current selection to that first item. And the PDFKit framework has a really nice animation that you've seen undoubtedly when you've been using Apple PDF products, where it will, when it wants to highlight something, that it'll do a brief yellow highlight in that spot with an animation that draws the attention to it. And doing that set current selection will cause that animation to happen and draw our users' attention to that spot. And so if you're using your own PDF, I would encourage you to use a different word that you know will occur in there. Or if you're using one of these PDFs, security or privacy is a common one that once you get it to run, you'll see it pop up. Who's having challenges with that, or who's having some successes with that? I'll take that as a good sign. That
it works for me. It has the normal text selection. Is that what I'm expecting to see here?
Yep, that's what we're expecting, is for that to show up.
Okay.
Over the word that we are searching for. Thanks, Paul. And so we can do this over many different words if we wanted our app, when it loads, to show a user a specific word. While this is a bit contrived in creating as a demo app, we know that we could do a whole lot more with that. I'm going to move through creating an annotation, because I think that's going to be really useful being able to do, and it's very similar to what we've been doing, so it's going to go pretty quickly. And then I'm going to pause and open the floor for questions, as well as guidance from Ben on how much time we have. If we have time to add a search feature, we can do that, but what we have after the annotation is complete enough for us to have modeled through the PDFKit framework. For creating the annotation, we want to first get an object that has the current page in it, because we're going to create the annotation on that current page, but we need an object to talk to that current page. And the PDF view that is showing our PDF to the user on the screen has a handy property of we can ask it for what is the current page. Again, like we've done before, I'm going to unwrap that optional and then use that object to create the annotation. Just like we've done before with the PDF document, here we have a PDF annotation to create an object within the PDFKit framework, and we're going to tell it what bounds to use. And the items we found are a really easy to use source for those bounds that are within the page space that we're using. And so what we're setting up here is where it does a search. Once it finds that first item, it highlights the user, and then it's going to apply the annotation we're creating now to that spot on the PDF in that page. And for the type, there's several different kinds of PDF annotations. The PDFKit doesn't handle every kind, but it handles most kinds. And if it's not an outlier annotation, it certainly handles it with these kind of annotation subtypes. I'm going to do a simple highlight that users would be anticipating. And then there's no other properties that we're needing to set here, so I'm going to set that to nil. Once we've created the annotation that we want, and we have told it where we want to do it, we're going to tell the page to add the annotation in that spot. And now we've written the code for adding that annotation where we want it to go. If you run that, I anticipate you right where you saw it do the normal text selection cursors before, you'll now see that it's applied an annotation there. So even if you move around in the PDF, that's no longer a selection, that's an annotation popping up there. Where do you see that you might use PDFKit, or how you might use it, or ideas for classmates, as well as Ben, feedback on how we're doing on time and things that we need to cover of what we've already gone over before we look at going forward with any advanced things with like the search feature.
So we're at about 25 minutes left. So whatever you think you can get done in those next 25 minutes, I say go for it.
Sure. Are there thoughts, comments, questions? They gave me instructions that the first 30 minutes need to be guidance, and then open the floor for question time from students. So not hearing any here, I'm going to start adding the search feature, but we can also use this time if you want to discuss PDFKit from different angles. To do the search feature, we're going to need to wire in one more object from the storyboard, and my intention was for that to be already wired for you from the GitHub repository, but with our problem earlier, I'm going to be preemptive and go build that together. So if we come over here to the storyboard, we'll see up here is a search box, the text field that we can use as a search box, and I'm simply going to drag that over into our view controller. And we're going to need both the outlet and the action. So I'm going to come in here and title the outlet the search field. And then I'm going to come in and do that same drag and add the interface builder action, making that connection from an outlet to an action, and then title that with a verb, search field edited. And there's a drop-down menu there that'll give you an option to choose editing changed. For our demo project here, I'd encourage you to do the editing changed, simply because we'll watch it as we type, do a search every time we type a character, instead of waiting for us to type something and then doing the search once we've clicked out of the text field box. So doing editing changed just is more interactive here, and we can see what the app is doing. Once we have added that in there, I'm going to move away from the storyboard again. And what we're doing to search through the PDF is very similar to what we did down here to search for one phrase. So I'm going to come down here and highlight just that step 5 from found items, where it's searching for a phrase, through where it's telling the PDF view to go to find that phrase, where that phrase is at, and then set the selection. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to move that up here to the search field edited spot and paste it in there. Now, what we're not wanting to search for a hard-coded end phrase anymore. In this spot here, we're wanting to search for the phrase that's currently in the search field. So I'm going to tell it to search to find the string that is currently in the search field property text. And so every time we type character, this function will be called again, and fire, and go through that same search that we had it run once when the app loaded. Now it'll run every time we type a character. But we have an error here because we can't assume that the text field for our search will have a string in it. It could be nil. And so to clear that error, we're going to simply pass in an empty string. If we would find nil, pass an empty string in, and then it would not search, and that search would fail, but would fail without crashing the app. Once you've set that up, you may want to go down here and comment out where it's created an annotation the first time, or where it's doing the search the first time. So your app is just searching a PDF. Or if you leave it uncommented, it'll still work just as well, where running it will now allow you to, when typing, it'll search for every character in there. And right now, as the app's designed, it's only searching for the first string it finds in the PDF. Certainly, if we were building a search functionality, we would want to set it up to where it wasn't just using the first item found, but it was allowing users to interact with the button to go ahead or behind to previous items that were found. But all that's very doable with those 2 lines, where it is telling it to go to the item, and then set the selection for that item. Hopefully you're having success with that. I'm seeing that running successfully on my end, where I'm able to type in a phrase and have it populate, or if it's not finding it, it simply stops the searching. And now we have a live PDF search built into a demo app. Hopefully that's useful for you to be able to see how PDFKit functions, be able to interact with PDF documents that host within them all the PDF pages that have within them the annotations that are on each of those pages. We've actually, in a short amount of time, covered a great deal of material that's in the PDFKit. And with simply the tools we've talked through today, you have enough to be able to build an app that interacts successfully with PDFs and make something useful for your end users. I'll make myself available for the remaining time for questions or pontificating brainstorms people have where they might use this, but also conscious that if everyone is fine and could use that time otherwise, that I'll donate that time back.
Go go ahead, Paul.
Is it possible to set the zoom so that like the whole page is visible rather than like a portion?
The whole page of.
I think it's because
PDF.
you're sharing your Xcode window and not your whole desktop. Is that what's happening?
You got it.
No,
Yep.
no,
Oh,
no.
Sorry, Paul. What are you looking for?
In PDFKit, I don't know what the API would be, but if I
Oh.
wanted to zoom out to a page at a time, because otherwise I have to I think double click. So is there a way to default to like seeing the whole page?
Yes, there is quite a bit of interaction within there to tell it to. Let me see if I can find it quickly to talk about it. PDF. So if you're still following along with me, if you type PDF view to pull up our PDF view, and then are looking at the options there, auto scale will help you with what you're starting to talk to, Paul. But there's several functionality within the PDF kit where you can lay it out as a book. So there's 2 pages visible, except if it's a front or a last page. You can also have the PDF, you can do it interactively. It already has it set up to where the pinch and zoom works out of the box, but there's a lot of functionality where you can set it up to, okay, I want to show a user this portion of a PDF, just like we went to a selection, but you could do that even if it wasn't a selection. Say, here's a portion of one page I want to see. There's also functions to where you can set zoom, where you want the user to be able to really zoom it out far and make a PDF image very small and be able to zoom it up really big. Or if you're designing it for usability and make sure users can't get lost, to have that pretty tightly confined where they can zoom in and out a little bit, but not too much. Thanks for the question, Paul.
Does anybody have any ideas about where they might use PDFKit if they have something in your app that you might want to show off that comes from a PDF? Anybody have any app ideas around that? Realize we're putting you on the spot, which is always fun.
I mean, I've always kind of wanted like a recipe app that might have the ability to like scan in recipes, and I don't know if I'd store them as images or if I'd store them as PDFs, but this could be a nice way to do that and just have like a viewer that's maybe a little bit more intuitive than an image where you'd have to build out all the logic. Are we able to, does it have to be like a PDF file, or could you throw it an image and it could just sort of work, or does it need to be an image in a PDF? So I'd have to like render it out if it wasn't.
It's not hard to render that. Yeah, if for PDFKit to show it, it needs to be a PDF. And it's outside the scope of what we're doing here today, but it would be very easy to, if you had an image file, to be able to place that inside the PDF. It's about as difficult as what we did with adding an annotation to the PDF file. We need to tell it where on the which page to put the image on, where on the page to put the image, and then tell it apply the image.
I could see using this to share data or information that's generated within an app. And then you could, throw a share sheet out there and, send that information. Yeah.
I was kind of right there with Samira. Like, first things, that come to mind are like leases or, insurance cards, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
With Apple's built-in PDF kit, is it possible to, trying to think of how to say this succinctly, like make a TurboTax knockoff where you could have the user enter the information in a wizard format, and at the very end render the 1040 with their fields filled out for them? Can you overlay text on top of the PDF? So PDFKit does have that kind of capability.
Yeah, that'd be very as easy as what we just did with the annotation. Could be done with what you just described, and it'd be a whole lot easier to enter that information in a text fields in a really easy to use app than trying to do it in a PDF form from Adobe in a default PDF editor.
Right, but do you think the final form would be, could you like download the W-2, let's say, or the 1040 from the IRS, and then I guess throw labels up there programmatically kind of thing?
Yeah, just like we would, just like we added an annotation today, if you know from your user entered data, you'd have the text you wanted to put in there, and you would know, okay, where on the W2 does this data go? It's simple. It matters, like we did with the annotation. On this page, in this spot, put this label, to use your language there. And you be able to have that put in there. And again, be able to control all of the text formatting that you'd want to with that.
And would that allow you to like look up fields? Like sometimes a PDF will have like and this might just be a feature of paid preview, I'm not sure, but it will like take your cursor to that spot. And if you hit tab, it goes to the next spot. Is that marked up in a certain way with the PDF file? I don't know what the format looks like.
Yeah, within each page, those those fields are available, and those are exposed in the PDFKit interface, and simply being able to then you as the programmer would need to be able to code. Okay, where are all the fields, and then what order are they in, and walking a user through those. But yes, you'd be able to get, it'd be trivial to dump out an array of what fields are on this page that I want to walk a user through.
And if a form is missing a field, then you can just place something programmatically where you think it should go, yep. Or can you like inspect? Like, how does that work when it's not marked up properly? Or is it just based on placement? You just have to be like, okay, this is like 300 units in, sort of thing.
If with PDF that you had in advance, where you could hard code it in, that'd be trivial to say, okay, here, put one in this spot, and I just track down how much to do it. And this is I know this document's gonna be the same in my app. If the document's changing and it's dynamic, that's a cool coding problem on how do you take a PDF and evaluate where's a spot missing. And what's the logic to identify that missing spot where I want to apply that? Now you got my gears turning, Paul, on how we might build that algorithm.
I used to work with a lot of sales reps that were traveling, and they would often complain about not having a really good app, where kind of so along with what Paul said was, you take a picture of a page and it turns into a PDF. They had issues where they couldn't then maybe, let's say they grab the images and they're out of order, to like rearrange all the images, like the order of the PDF, how they wanted it. And they couldn't, maybe go in when it's converted to a PDF and like tap and highlight certain text, and then kind of be able to like copy paste and throw it in wherever else they need it. Is that, I mean, I know those are two different things, but is that difficult to do with this?
This would be the second half of that solution of what you just described. The first half, I would direct you over to, I think Apple calls it the VisionKit, where just like in the Notes app, where we can open the Apple's Notes app now and take an image and get a really cool picture of a document that is already the framework is taking care of the lighting and the taking care of the askew nature of it, and it looks like a really good scan simply from a camera photo of that document. We have access to that same as iOS developers. I believe it's called VisionKit, where it gives a API for accessing those, to where you can throw up the camera view for users, let them take that picture, and then when once they've taken that picture, you get an image back, and then I think there's a optical character recognition problem between there and PDFKit to what you're wanting. But it would be trivial if you didn't want to do the OCR of simply, I have an image, I want to put that as an image inside a PDF. That you could do with PDFKit today. It was very similar to how we added an annotation. You just load those images onto the PDF.
VisionKit actually has OCR now.
Oh, cool. Good. Thanks for the suggestion. Nicole, you should check out VisionKit's OCR work.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Clinton?
I had a question. Sorry, I'm hopping in real late here, so I'm not sure if it has been covered or not. But I have an app where I'm displaying PDFs, and it's for musicians when they're on stage, and the bright background is kind of like blinding on stage. And so I was wondering, you talked about, or if you haven't, if you could just maybe point me in the right direction of how I would maybe go about rendering the background of the PDF to be like dark and just basically reverse the text in the background color.
Yes, that'd be doable. There's each page has a property that you can set where the background color, just like most PDFs we're used to, it says as clear or as white. That it would be a trivial task to set that background to I would recommend not a pure black, but a really dark gray, just like Apple does on dark mode, where it's not a complete black. And then the whole page will look really dark. But then simply go through on the text on the page and turn it to white. The text in PDF can be in lots of formats. I'd be wary of assuming that it's one big text block on every page. Sometimes there can be lots of one page that has lots of text blocks in the structure, even though the way we read it, it looks like one text block. And so just be sure to iterate over every text block you can find and reverse the colors.
Okay. So I just have to make sure I hit each one of those. And then did you say the background I can access, is it just off the PDF view, or is it I feel like I tried looking for that before, but I kind of had a hard time. I don't know why.
It's within the PDF. There's the PDF document has a default background, and each page has its own background property that you can access and change. And so if you're trying to do that in the view, I have cracked on those rocks before myself. The view is not the spot to do it. You want to do it within the object, the PDF document object, or I think what you're describing is within the page is where you want to be. So within the PDF page, make that change, and then push that document back to the PDF view to display to the user.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. If there aren't any other questions, I want to thank you, Clinton, very much for coming and hanging out with us and showing us all about PDFKit. That was a really cool and engaging talk. We don't cover this specifically in class, so very cool to kind of see it. And we've recorded this, so for anybody who missed some or all of it, we're going to post it on YouTube soon for all the students to take a look at. And then we'll keep I'm going to attach the GitHub to that as well, so that if people see it, they can also take a look at that too.
Great. Thank you all. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you all later.